welcome to Writers Blockbusters, the show where we treat the final edit of the movie like the script. I'm one of your hosts, Bob Rose, at Thundergrunt Bob on Instagram. And right now, Jimmy's going to introduce himself.
I am Jimmy George. I am a screenwriter and script consultant. And these days, instead of social media, you can find me at scriptbutcher.com.
Jamie?
I am Jamie Nash. I am a screenwriter and the writer of Save the Cat Writes for TV, Save the Cat Writes Horror, Save the Cat Peachy Workbook, lots of screenplays, all kinds of crazy stuff. You can find me at jamienash.net.
Awesome. And today, I guess inspired by Wicked existing, we're going to do Wizard of Oz, which, for 145 episodes, I actually can't believe we haven't touched this one. And before we get into the talking points, we're going to go around and just say any personal thoughts or whatever about the Wizard of Oz, the movie of the. It almost feels like this isn't me talking, but it almost feels like this is like what cinema is. It's like the foundational understanding of everything we do and talk about, right? I don't know. I was watching it and I was just like, this is where it all came from. It just feels like that.
Yeah, I put a larger discussion of this on the back end because I feel once we listen to everything we've talked about, it's really going to pull that all together, But this is a good bookend.
But if you had to like name 5 movies that like define the medium.
Yep.
How
could you not put
this movie on there, right?
Yep.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Yeah, go for it.
To go. So this is a movie that for most of our listeners, I haven't seen the demographics in a while of our analytics, but I think most of our listeners are older than us or our age.
It's mostly middle-aged.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Boomers.
So if you're young listening, if you're in your 20s, you don't remember a time where this movie was just jammed down our throats. The way that Star Wars started really being everywhere and anywhere in the Phantom Menace era and beyond, it's like everything Star Wars. I feel like when I was a little kid, Wizard of Oz was everywhere, and it was always on TV, and it was always on multiple stations, and you just couldn't get away from it. And so as a kid, I started to get annoyed with it. Even as a kid, like I was so oversaturated with this stuff. And we're going to get into later with the action figure exercise, but like, I don't know if you guys remember, but in WNUF Halloween Special, which is an 80s period piece that I co-produced, 3 of the 12 costume extras in that movie are Dorothy, the Scarecrow, and the Wicked Witch. And that's because at that time when I was growing up, everybody, like Halloween, like that was one of the most common costumes, even though it was like 50 years after the movie had come out. It was like Dorothy or the Wicked Witch or the Tin Man or the Scarecrow or the Cowardly. They were all still that entrenched in our culture. And so I got tired of this, and I wrote it off, and I have not watched it in decades. So 2 other things that I think are really that stick with me personally are so I used to work in nursing homes in 2 different periods of my life. And this was before my mall years. I worked when I was 16, I did the laundry at a nursing home in Baltimore, and I would deliver the laundry to all the patients' rooms. And they have all these common areas, and they're very sad places. They're very joyless places, and they have these common areas where they kind of just wheel people out and like sit them there. And they often have TVs in these areas, and they would put on the Wizard of Oz, and the residents, the people who were living there, they would just light up every single time when Wizard of Oz was on and people were wheeled out there to watch it. They would light up. It like brought them joy. Now, flash forward another 15 years, and I worked in nursing homes again. I took care of birds and fish in nursing homes and in DC and Virginia for about 6 months. And even though it was a different generation, they did the same thing. And once again, like I would be like cleaning the fish tank, and they would have Wizard of Oz on in the common area, and they'd have like 20 people out there, and the residents were like filled with joy, like watching it. Like they lit up. So it says something about the movie that, but generational divide, people still come back to it and they still love it and they still bring it still brings them joy. And for me, so last night was the first time I watched it in decades, and it was like watching it for the first time because I've never seen it HD. So like I found myself
it's all remastered in 4K now.
I found myself being completely blown away by the visuals and appreciating it now that I've made movies. Appreciating the artistic effort, across the board. That I kept finding myself pausing the movie to just because the matte paintings on my HD TV, I was like, this is gorgeous, holy shit. And it was just like one matte painting after another that just blew me away. It made me like miss that era, where matte paintings were the thing and not a green screen. So yeah, I feel like this rewatch, like I loved it more than I ever have. And so there's that.
Awesome. Jamie?
Yeah, so a little different perspective. I grew up in the 70s, and there was motion at my door when there wasn't motion at my door. When I say I grew up, really the 80s were my formative years. But when I was, some of my earliest memories watching TV were $6 Million Man, Evel Knievel jumping stuff, and Wizard of Oz. So Wizard of Oz, unlike what Jimmy said, Wizard of Oz came on once a year. And if you missed it, you missed it. It was on once a year every Christmas. It was like early Christmas season, I think. Like it came on, much like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and things like that. Like it was a kind of appointment television. You'd kind of be like, oh, Wizard of Oz is coming on, Sunday night or Friday. I think in my head I have it Friday nights because I didn't think I would have stayed up for it when I was like 2 years old or 3 years old on a Sunday night. But it was a big event, and it was kind of appointment television, and you would watch it that one year, and then you'd watch it again the year later. It was like a special event that would happen. And that went on to like the mid 80s. So in the mid 80s, the cable companies bought it. And honestly, I probably watched it almost every year until the mid 80s. Probably the early 80s, it started to die out on me a little bit. But so I watched it like, 10, 12 times or something like that. And then I don't think I ever watched it again after that. I watched it 12 times in a row, appointment television. And last night was the first night I ever watched it without commercials.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I've never watched it without commercials because it wasn't like I streamed it, and I never watched it on cable. It was on network television. Never saw it on the big screen. I would have liked to go into the Sphere or whatever that thing looked.
Yeah, the Sphere thing.
Did you hear there might be a Sphere coming to DC? Have you?
There is. It's happening, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a chance to see the Wizard of Oz. It'll probably be like the first thing they put on there. It'll be U2, who Jimmy knows the lead singer of very well. Rode an elevator, and then Wizard of Oz. So anyway, that's my experience with Wizard of Oz. It almost is like a movie before any other memories. Like I really don't know a time when it didn't exist. It was very scary as a kid in some ways, but not so scary that I couldn't watch it. But the witch was definitely scary, and there was some creepy, weird stuff. Like even like the poppy flower scene and stuff like that was a little creepy and weird. And the monkeys and stuff like that. It was all a little creepy and weird. But it was a movie that like sort of I was just born knowing about. But always on television.
It's in our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't want to like repeat everything Jimmy said. But
did I steal your intro? I'm sorry.
I mean, we're nigh the same age, so it's kind of the same thing. Like I'll say this: I've said on this podcast before, the first film I believe I ever saw in theaters was Dick Tracy. If I think that's a theory that nobody can confirm.
I was thinking about Dick Tracy the other day. I'm surprised nobody's taken a run at Dick. I know it's not like big IP that people want.
It's Warren Beatty, dude.
No, because Beatty keeps stopping them from legally doing
Oh,
it.
is that what it is? I
He
was
does
thinking
it
about
once
that the
every
other day.
couple years. The
Yeah, he does it once
videos
every
are
couple- so
out
he
there. They're
ends it.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That
So
makes
anyway, Dick Tracy is the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I think like 95%. But the first movie I ever saw or remember as a human being has to be Wizard of Oz. It's the
Whoa.
I mean, that's not really that well. I'm, my age is right there. It's literally, I mean, my parents, we owned it on VHS. I would literally watch it. I didn't get tired of it like you guys did. I would literally watch it and they would rewind it and play it again, like 3 or 4 times in a day. Now I probably was playing with toys and stuff
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
it was on, but that's my relationship with the movie. Like it would just all day the TV would be playing Wizard of Oz, on repeat. I still have that VHS tape. It's probably moldy or something.
Oh man.
Right. So yeah, it's kind of I mean, like in a lot of ways, it's maybe my first memory of just movies. Like in general, like kind of what Jamie said. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't really. I mean, I don't know what would be before that, and I can't remember anything before that. So when when I've seen this actually like in the past 10 years on the big screen, I've actually watched it a few times in the past, recent past. So I'm still familiar with it, but like whenever I watch it, it does feel like the only connective tissue I have to like my first moments of being cognitive and understanding shit. That's a weird thing to have with a movie, which I'm sure other people have it now, like kids have it with like, I don't know, Ghostbusters or something. I don't know. The first movie they remember is something we were cognitive completely for age. The second thing I wanted to say is we're being watched because ever since we decided to do this movie, the She Came Down in a Bubble Dog video. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
The guy screaming at it, like one of the most famous internet videos of all time.
You're the man now, dog.
No, not that.
I'm just
not
kidding.
that. It's like a guy. It's a guy screaming at his best friend about how the Galinda the Good Witch isn't actually a princess. And he's like screaming. He's like seriously angry and screaming in the guy's face. He's like, "She came down in a bubble dog. Are you going to look at my face and tell me that I'm wrong?" That video, I'm sure people listening will know what I'm talking about. That has come up on my timeline like 3 times a day since we said Wizard of Oz in our chat.
Oh no.
I was like, what is happening? Because it is. I've seen that video so many times since we were like, Wizard of Oz next, Wizard of Oz next. So it's been like the last 2 weeks I've been like seeing that video pop up. I can't believe you guys don't remember that video. It was like it was really famous. One of the best internet videos ever.
Oh, I'll look it up.
Yeah. I'll send it to you. It's literally 15 seconds long. Anyway. Yeah, and I was gonna say, outside of my own perspective, as let's discuss with Jimmy, this is only the 3rd musical we've ever talked about on the show.
Yeah.
One of the first was, well, it was Blues Brothers was first, and then Rudolph. Was that how the
I think
order
Rudolph
went? Was it Rudolph
sat first, and then Blues Brothers.
And then Blues Brothers. Yeah. And I would say that Rudolph. Those are 2 like kind of off-kilter musicals.
Agreed. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
as is this in some ways.
Is this, but I feel like this
reminds me of Rudolph a little bit in that it feels like a regular movie with a couple song and dance numbers tacked in, as opposed to like, I'll talk about it later a little bit.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of Rudolph and Blues Brothers. Musical.
It's got musical numbers.
Yeah, it's got musical numbers.
John
it's like
Landis says it's
like
a musical.
concert movie. It's like
he calls it a musical.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
maybe
whatever. Sorry, we'll do some musicals.
I think that there's
in the long run.
There's the reality of, we've talked about it on that episode, but like people are singing in that reality.
Was there ever
they are in a musical?
Was there ever a Blues Brothers Broadway show?
Probably.
It just seems like an obvious choice in some ways.
I don't know, but this is our first kind of
real musical.
Real, quote unquote, not insulting Blues Brothers musical.
Right. I mean, yeah.
It's interesting. We've never done one.
Actually, Actually, there was a Blues Brother musical, but Warren Beatty blocked it. Weird. Very strange.
There's also a Blues Brothers video game for N64. Don't play it.
Oh man!
Wow, I had no idea.
It was Blues Brothers 2000. The video game was terrible.
Blues Brothers meets Fast and the Furious would be a great movie.
Aykroyd's still alive. Okay, Jamie, what's the extremely hard to discuss box office on Wizard of Oz?
Yes. So what I tracked down is that the movie was made. The budget was $2.7 million, and it made $3 million essentially internationally. So not a hit, kind of a flop. I'm kind of scrolling up here.
Which Bob, you mentioned off mic. That's very much like the path of It's a Wonderful Life.
Her other movie after this, which I've already forgotten the name of, is the one that was like the big hit for Judy Garland. What was damn? I already forgot the name.
But it was the one St. Louis. Is that?
No, it's not that. It's the one she did like right after this.
The Shining. The Shining.
No. No.
I just want to do an absurdist podcast, like with the worst people. I have no idea.
Like, I have no idea what they're talking about.
The crazy stuff.
I got news for you, Jamie.
Just to
we
get
already do
yelled.
that.
Yeah. Right. Side note: I did notice how the way that the aesthetics.
Babes in Arms.
Babes in Arms. Yeah.
Babes in Arms was also 1939. Judy Garland. That was a huge hit.
Okay.
Mickey Rooney.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so the budget was 2.77, and it made around 3 million on the first release. And this piece of information from Box Office Mojo says it's only made 25.6 million worldwide in all its releases.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think it's because it mainly became a television thing. So it first was televised in November 3rd, 1956 on CBS, and it had huge ratings. I don't know what the ratings are, but back then it was probably like 20 million people or something, some large number. And they repeated it annually after that. So that was kind of the era that I came into it, in the 70s. So that tradition started in 1956 and went all the way up to like 1985 when the cable television stations started to buy the rights to it.
Do you, because of that, do you view this as a Christmas movie? Like, even though it's
not? I even had to look it up. Like in my head, I was like, I'm pretty sure it was Christmas. And so I don't view it that way. Like I couldn't even remember that it was Christmas, but in my head,
I don't feel like culture has viewed it that way recently. I don't think like people associate it with Christmas.
I would have to look it up, but I bet you anything like it aired more toward Thanksgiving than Christmas. Like it wasn't like it was more like December 1st.
I'm pretty sure it was a Thanksgiving-ish event.
That's what I think. Okay. That's in my head. It's more Thanksgiving. Like the Christmas season kicked off. There'd be an airing of The Wizard of Oz, and then like 3 weeks later, I'd get Charlie Brown
and for context, this is at a time where there were like 3 channels.
3 channels.
Yeah. So there were 3 options to watch television in all of the country, and one of them was Wizard of Oz.
Which we kind of said off mic, where like for anyone younger listening, like this is really a great example of the monoculture we used to have. Like you couldn't get away from Wizard of Oz because we didn't have much else.
Yep.
It was like everybody watched the same stuff. It was exposed to the same thing all at once. That's why we didn't hate each other as much.
Now, Gone with the Wind came out that same year, and that was the big blockbuster. And it made $32 million. So 10 times more, than
it's the Avatar of the
it was the Avatar of its day. And I looked that one up, and it said the inflation adjusted estimates put it at around 3.3 billion to 3.4 billion for Gone with the Wind. And the funny thing about Gone with the Wind, it wasn't televised because they kept re-releasing it. People would go see it until 1976. So
so they kept putting it out.
They kept putting it out. Gone with the Wind, a movie I've never seen. It was
Never seen it either.
yeah,
We
it's
should
like
do it on the show. We should.
You know, it was one of yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
If listeners really
Instant
want
no.
that, it's like you
There's going
write
to be a
us emails.
groundswell of Gone
Write
with
us
the Wind
emails
listeners.
if you really want that, but
Okay.
I mean, there's reason I never watched it, I think. You know,
Me too.
I don't think I'd be interested at all. It was like my mother's favorite movie. Like if you ask my mother, who had like no taste at all, like she would just like, what's your favorite movie? She'd be like, I don't know, Gone with the Wind. And I think that probably turned me off from it. You know,
for me,
"Oh."
it's like that's a heavy one to do.
Yes,
For a lot of reasons.
For a lot of reasons.
Also, I don't want to sit through Going with the Wind like 2 times.
No,
Yeah,
me
I think it's like
neither.
a 3-hour movie or
Yeah,
something.
man,
right?
I don't want to watch it.
I remember I used to see like the 3 VHS tapes on the shelves in the
But
in the Hollywood video and be like, ooh,
It's so interesting, and this is
3 tapes.
this is a cultural discussion I'm always fascinated by. How Gone with the Wind, when I was a kid, it was a lot of people's favorite movie. Like when I was 4 years old or 3 years old, like a lot of people were like my favorite movie of all time. You know, pre Jaws, maybe some people would say The Godfather if they were cooler, you know, or something. 2001 if they were really cool. But a lot of people were like Gone with the Wind. And nowadays, we still talk about Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
But nobody's doing, you know, the Wicked of Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested in that. You know,
We went the reverse where like you watch it on HBO and they have like a disclaimer discussion in front of it. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
I think that's why. That's why.
Walter, you know, Warren Beatty isn't even trying to block Gone with the Wind.
Right,
Nobody
right.
wants to make it.
He didn't need to. He didn't need to.
He didn't need to. So,
I never thought that Dick Tracy would be a through line.
Yeah, exactly. I think like Kevin Hart's Gone with the Wind might be a fun one or something.
Honestly, yes. Do that. I would watch that.
That's the remake we want to see.
We can work into the history and everything by just this first question. Who wrote this shit?
Oh man. Now, if you want to do a hard question, this is the hard question.
It's a hard question. Also, who directed this shit is actually Victor Fleming gets the credit, but it is like 4 people, right?
Yes. Hold on 1 second. It's taking me 3 hours to load because there's so many names.
At least you didn't freeze. Usually at this point in the podcast,
Jamie is frozen.
Jamie's face is frozen in some completely disinterested expression, and Bob and I have to look at his disinterested
It's fine. We'll deal with it.
For the next 2 hours.
Okay. Not yet.
It's a post 2020 world. Nothing matters.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to read for the next 3 hours. I'm going to read all the names on this list. Okay, so the writers are as screenplay. These 3 get screenplay credit: Noel Langley, Florence Ryerson, Edgar Allan Wolfe. Okay, they're the 3 that get screenplay credit. Then you get Noel Langley gets adaptation credit, which I don't even really understand. I can kind of explain the history, but I don't really understand what that credit is. This is pre-WGA streamlining of credit days. So then you got L. Frank Baum from the book by, and then you got the following people are contributing writers: Irving Becker, I'm going to count them: William H. Cannon, George Cukor, who's one of the directors, as we'll see, Herbert Fields, Arthur Freed, Jack Haley, E.Y. Harburg, Samuel Hoffenstein, Bert Lair, John Lee Mahan, Herman J. Mankiewicz, famous name, Jack Mintz, Ogden Nash, who I know because he's my uncle, Robert Hirosh, George Seaton. Ogden Nash is a famous poet because I'm a Nash. I know that. Sid Silvers, Richard Thorpe, and King Vidor, who's also that's 13 contributing writers.
Simpsons writers room.
Yeah, plus the original writers, 16, plus the book was based on 17 writing credits.
It's such like a simple movie too. You know, like to have that many writers, you'd think it would be much more.
And I think
messy.
And the directors, which you mentioned, there are 4 directors that have some credits. There's Victor Fleming, who gets most of the credit, George Cukor, Norman Torog, and probably mispronouncing these names. Richard Thorpe and King Vidor are the names.
Wow.
So it really took a village
A
to make.
collaboration.
Yeah, this was also a different studio system.
Mm-hmm.
This is stuff like the reason that Shirley Temple isn't in this movie was because of how actors had contracts with studios
the
and
studios. Yeah. So was
like
this like the whole company's like team?
yeah, you're basically making a movie with like the whole family, the whole team,
Yeah.
the company,
Yeah.
which is a whole different studio system we have now. You know.
Yes. So I think that's the big thing. You know, is it was just a different system. It was a factory system. It wasn't
movie
like
factory.
what we have now. It was a movie factory.
There's
People would get a job with MGM and they'd be on staff and they'd be like, you know, give us a day of writing on this thing, you know, and that's what they would do.
There's literally like, you know, several YouTube documentaries that are hours upon hours long about the production of this movie, which we will not be covering here.
No.
but like, yeah, it was nuts for something that, once again, is so, for me at least, simple and childlike. And like everything, it's just like, how did that many cooks make something that wasn't a clusterfuck? You know, how did the end product turn out like it did? It's just kind of a miracle.
And the history of it is kind of fascinating, and there's books written about the history of it. But I'll give a quick kind of through line. It'll be our Cliff Notes version. Of course, it was based on a book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, and that was written in 1900 exactly.
Have you guys read the books?
So I've read a little bit of the first book and dabbled in the other books as well.
I read the first one when I was of the series when I was little. So
Gotcha.
maybe 37, 38
I was going to say
ago.
for me about 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, a writer friend and I did like our own adaptation of Wizard of Oz a few years back.
That's right, Oz Noir, right?
That's right. And so at that time, I kind of read through the books to steal stuff. You know, I was kind of figuring out like what I could take. And what I remember of the book, here's, at least for Wizard of Oz, like there's a lot of weird stuff in the later books. It definitely is more, you know, fantasy, dark sort of thing. It's not the quite as, I don't know what the word is. Yeah.
Return to Oz than
there's some weird stuff in it. Yeah.
Return to Oz is arguably more accurate to the tone of the books than this.
So I've heard, at least.
The most interesting thing, and I'll just use this as kind of the history of it. So, because this is kind of the big adaptation point. Like if you ask, like, what's the big difference between the book and the movie, I'll kind of use that as my history through line here. So in the book, by page 5, and there's a lot of white space. It's kind of a kid's book feel in some ways. Dorothy's in Oz. Dorothy's a very young child in the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and
hence Shirley Temple was
originally
more of what they were looking for,
but couldn't get out of the contract.
Right.
So by page 5, Dorothy is in Oz, and basically how it goes is the first 5 pages are Dorothy exposition. It's a lot of like kind of on the nose. I'm not even sure what she's doing. She's kind of, it's all like, you know, Dorothy grew up in Kansas and her uncle never laughed and stuff like that. It was like that kind of stuff. And he's staring at the sky. And then right away, there's a cyclone coming. You know, it's like by page 2 or page 3. Toto runs under the bed or something. I'm kind of paraphrasing. I might be missing a little point here or two. She goes after Toto. The cyclone hits. And really that's all you get of the backstory is like she lives on a farm. It's kind of bleak. She lives with her uncle and her aunt. There's no farm hands or anything like that. The house goes up in the air for several minutes to the point where she gets bored and goes to bed. During flying in the air.
I remember that.
Okay. suddenly she's woken with a thud and she's landed in Oz. And that's the reason that's the biggest difference is, so when they went to adapt it, various writers came on board and they did various stuff. And keep in mind, there was a Broadway musical version of it, like in 1902, so only 2 years after the book came out. There were silent film versions of it, and they leaned into slapstick. Like the Broadway musical was almost vaudevillian. Um, they were kind of silly in some ways, and they did all kinds of stuff with them. But the big thing, so then when this version came around, what happened was Snow White had just come out, not too long ago, and they were looking for something to compete with Snow White. That was the big thing. So they were like, what can we buy or acquire that could compete with Snow White? And Oz was the choice. So they were trying to turn Oz into their Snow White. That's
Right.
where the music came from and stuff like that. So a lot of this has to be seen through the lens of that, commercial, that competition of the studio. And at the time, they were very scared of the weird fantasy aspects, like all the Oz aspects. They were very scared of it. So for that reason, they, one of the writers, one of the directors was largely in charge of, and now I can't remember which one it was. Was it King Vidor or something? I can look it up as we talk.
What a name.
Yeah. Was the person that came up with the dream part, the dream sequence. So a lot of that informed the farmhands, who end up being, the lion, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, as well as the witch and how she's foreshadowed in the early part. But none of that's in the book. So that was all new stuff that came from the movie. And then the dream aspect, they wake up and say, oh, it was all a dream. They were worried that the logic of the world and some of the plot points were just too coincidental, too silly. So the dream, by making it a dream, they could kind of excuse away a lot of the things that scared them about the Oz story. And anyway,
I like always. I remember when I was in school. I think my teacher might have said this. I can't remember, but it was like the movie made the book about Dorothy, and the book is actually about Oz.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like the movie's about Dorothy's quest more than,
yeah.
And like Frank L. Baum was more concerned with creating. He was like making lore essentially of what Oz is.
Yeah, and
because Dorothy's kind of a little bit more blank slate-ish in the book.
Yeah, and almost to kind of jump into a talking point to an extent. By the way, before I jump into the talking point, this is just occurring to me, but the Snow White Wizard of Oz thing, there's a witch, there's versus a young girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's little people of some, there's the same thing. There's a lot that's kind of going on. That's
I actually thought the apples were going to be poison.
The apples.
I misremembered.
A lot of genre expectations.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a lot of stuff that you can kind of see, and then of course the kind of touches of music in this one and that one. So to kind of jump from the history of it to the craft talk. So really, this is a point of adaptation. Like, what do you adapt when you adapt a book? And what they really did, from what I can tell and what I remember of the book and kind of my quick research of it, is they added a character arc in some ways. They added, like, that really wasn't there. She's not really somebody that whole thing about her running away from home and everybody ignoring her and all those things that are traditionally in all our modern movies and we talk about all the time. And who knows, this movie could have almost been some of the basis for that in some ways. I'm sure some inspiration for future writers. It's certainly there, like the things that need fixing that we talk about, the kind of save the cat things that need fixing. She's ignored at home, like people kind of don't even listen to her. There's somebody being mean to her dogs. There's like a save the dog scene in some ways.
There is.
There's all kinds. There's a story before the story. The thing I always like to tell writers they should work on, in that the saving the dog is really the story before the story. It's a story about a girl whose dog is threatened by a mean neighbor, basically.
The biting happens before the movie starts.
Exactly.
It's so weird. It's kind of cool. It's kind of feels like a modern touch that we start in
Right.
that shot.
I
Like,
think
it's
so
just
much of
everywhere.
it is modern when I
Yeah.
like it has
Yeah.
aged really well. And
There's a reason I said it was like it feels like where cinema came from.
yeah, especially yeah.
So
Yeah, they gave it, Jamie. It's I you know, something that I'm sure you've dealt with when you're reading for newbies is I get a lot of scripts that they jump right into act 2 like 5 pages in, and they don't realize that they're in act 2, but they've given us no before world, no ordinary world. We don't have they don't give us any things that need fixing. They don't really give us a rooting resume. They give us kind of nothing about who the character was before the problem happened that they need to solve by the end of the movie, and they just jump us right into the problem. And I'm always kind of challenging to be like to like retcon a I don't like telling people to retcon stuff, but you need a retcon of before world, in order for all this stuff to matter.
Right.
I'll give a personal story of me, just a script I've been working on that is a rewrite gig. It's a rewrite. So it's a rewrite gig that one of my big tasks in the rewrite was take a script that's 130 pages and bring it down to 100 pages. So the first draft of the rewrite, I did a thing where I cut out the first 15 pages and kind of put them in motion, but expositionally told where they were.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they talked about it. They basically talked about their problems as opposed to showing their problems. And I knew that wasn't as fun, but I really was just trying to get my number one task was cutting 30 pages. And I saw a way and I was like, I'm going to do
Here we go.
and it was a way to cut 15 pages like that. Right. So I did that and I got it down to like 98 pages or whatever. And then the big thing came, we don't like these characters, it's a little, so in the second pass, I went back and I did my version of the first 20 pages and 12 pages. And now they're all like, I love these characters. And that's basically all I changed. I made my own story before the story thing like that. So it's such, I did what your clients did. And I knew it was a risk. Like I knew what I was doing. I've done it before where I've like, okay, let's lose the setup and start with the catalyst or something. It's not the first time I've done that. It's not necessary. There, all these choices have risks, and it is a very dangerous risk to just jump into the story. It usually doesn't work. That's what I'll say. It usually doesn't work.
Well, it's like the Matrix. If you only see like the 1990s America Neo life for 5 minutes, and then he gets sucked into the Matrix 5 minutes later, it's not as powerful of a transformative story.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And I would argue even that at times the Kansas opening, while I love it because of the colors and the black and white, the rich black and white, and just the sets and all that, it's a little feels like watching it now. Like I never thought this when I was a kid because I didn't understand storycraft or anything. It feels a little tacked on in some ways. It feels like I'll give you my criticisms of it when I was watching it.
Take it down.
No.
So this is the top 10 reasons why Wizard of Oz sucks.
Oh, God.
Cinema sins. Right.
No, yeah, exactly. So it does one of these things that is one of my pet peeves, which is circular plot, right? So, and it does it twice. Toto gets taken, and then Toto runs away and comes home. Okay.
Yeah.
Dorothy runs away, but then she comes home.
Yeah.
And it's just it does it twice. And anyway, those kind of things. So it feels like that kind of thing. And then I'd say the overall, like when I get to the end, did I really feel this was a story about a girl who never had a home, but really learned that home was no, not really.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's kind of feels a little like they knew it needed that and they kind of went through the motions of it, but I never get the emotion of like a young girl who's now understands the meaning of home. In fact, home still kind of sucks. Like, if I was her,
this doesn't fix anything about home, really.
and I don't think she should like home. I think home kind of sucks
Well,
for her.
so what I mean, I can't speak to it. I'm sure there's lots of educated, analysis about this, but it may be at that time the country was like scared of like everyone leaving the homestead for like cities and stuff, and
Right. I'm sure you're right.
and that kills the
Also,
jobs, that kills local
19
communities.
It's 1939. Remember that?
That's what I mean. Yeah,
I'm saying what was building up to something.
Yes,
World War
that's true.
II.
Oof. Yeah,
Right.
good call.
Right. It's
Good call.
it's very relevant to what was happening in the
But
country.
just from a bigger picture, like if I was going to give it notes and add 20 more writers onto it, it's kind of like it's kind of like she's liked in the new place. Yes, there's a witch attacking her and stuff like that, but at least she has some friends to fight against it. She's of value. They look at her like a hero. And she goes back to a place that kind of ignores her and is crappy. And I don't know. I never really felt like she learned about home.
If I could push back on you,
sure,
Jamie, just a little bit.
Please do.
I feel like the farmhands and all them, they do actually listen to Darcy.
A little bit. They get one.
I think they care about her.
They get a 30
I think what she
second
learns is that people did care about her and miss her and are scared. They do the crystal ball thing when she starts figuring it out even before she left.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Annie M is upset about her. Maybe, and they also don't lean in hard to like nobody cares about me. Like they don't lean hard into that.
They don't.
She's so busy searching for Toto and saving Toto, and
it's
and
loose.
dealing with her.
It's a little bit of an allegory for youth and how you think everyone's not listening to you and nobody
cares. That's it, Bob. You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
To be allegorical. Yes.
Yeah. My
pretty
point
obvious
is
stuff. I don't need a slap on the back for that one.
my point is it just does kind of the bare minimum to get by with that.
Yeah. I think that's why it's so.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so beloved, honestly, because it's so simple and bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
I
hear you. I hear you, Jamie.
Yeah,
I'm not combating what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think you're actually shitting on it.
Jamie's got a hot take.
Yeah, hot take.
The Wizard of Oz sucks.
The Kansas portion of Wizard of Oz is unnecessary.
I'm
all.
sure there are people saying that on the internet. I have to imagine.
I would have started this movie with her walking out the door into Oz and cut the. No, I wouldn't.
No, you got to start the movie with the dog attack.
The dog attack.
Yes, like a dog's jaws clamping into an old woman's leg, blood shooting everywhere.
Yeah, I'll do my own fan edit and put some Cujo scenes in there.
Right.
Yeah, I'll take Cujo and take the color out, and everybody will just think it's part. I'll say original cut scene from Wizard of Oz. So
it's as much as this is like the DNA of all cinema. It's a weird beast.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really kind of what you're saying, Jamie. It is Frankenstein a bit, and it's from a very different time. But
I never noticed it the first 12 times I watched it.
Right.
But that was because I was too busy watching the commercials.
Right. Okay, let's talk about Tensity, which you might want to define first.
This is mine. We just did this at length in the previous episode, in our Avatar episode. So if you're new to this, check that one out that we just did. We're going to do a short version. Jamie, do you want to just kind of like set it up?
Sure. So this, and we always give credit to this kind of amazing one-hit wonder of a blog that we talked about called Theoretical.
Yeah, because the writer's name is Thea, so that's where.
Is that what it is? I just thought it was like
her name is
or something.
Yeah, so did I, but no, her name is Thea Cook.
We should tell Thea that we've been
her 2018 blog post has been mentioned like 5 times on the show now.
Exactly. So this blog, I highly recommend it. But she talks about something called tensity, and the definition she gives on her blog for brand tensity, because this is apparently a marketing term. I don't know anything about marketing. is the convergence of two or more contradictory forces resulting in excitement, anticipation, and a palpable energy. And just super quick, to give you an example, Marilyn Monroe, she has on her site, is an example of seductive innocence. So two competing ideas. Intensity and world building she has, magical mundane for Harry Potter, or mystical and science for Star Wars. And then as examples for characters, an audacious underdog for Napoleon Dynamite, a clever ditz for Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. And then I'll just do Star Wars. Humble hero, Luke Skywalker, commanding damsel for Princess Leia, and reliable rogue for Han Solo. So that's your basic idea of tensity.
So what we found is when we did this for a good streak of like 4 episodes in a row, we found that like Beetlejuice, every character had tensity, every single one of them. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, every
Right.
main speaking role had tensity. When we could do this exercise and it tracked, it's like what you realize, like what made them pop. And then what we realized is some of these movies that aren't working, like The Electric State is an example, you know, the characters are missing the tensity. And we just talked about an Avatar,
yeah.
the characters are missing the tensity, and we were discussing whether that speaks to why the characters haven't really made their cultural impact the way the movie and the franchise itself has. As Bob said, people are dressing up as for Halloween, as cosplaying as themselves,
the Na'vi.
as Na'vi, yeah,
But not as the specific characters,
but not as
movies.
the characters, yeah. So
like here's what I would be if I were a Na'vi. Not
exactly.
I'm Jake Sully, you know, like what he's doing.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and bouncing right off of that, since we just did it, it immediately stood out to me that like, oh wow, like this movie is kind of like the purest, easiest one yet. It's like the whole point is the tensity.
I mean, you could argue Cowardly Lion is already his tensity.
That's his tensity. Yes.
Cowardly Lion.
Like, that's the tensity. What's interesting though is like, so the other thing that we've talked about, and guys like interject because I don't want to get too book reporty, but like some movies characters arc into tensity. They start as a flat character, and as they grow and change, like we did in Rudolph, Bumble the Monster, he starts out as fierce monster. He ends up and becomes a fierce character by the end. I mean, a tense character. He is a gentle giant, you know?
Right.
And then we've talked about some characters, they lose their tensity, they arc out of their tensity. So they start like Good Will Hunting, by the end of the movie, he's like a very boring one-note character. So what's interesting here is like them learning that they have it in them all along, like their lesson is like the tension, right? Like you said, Cowardly Lion, well, he's like, even though he's like, his comic obsession, which we're not going to go into, is that he's afraid, like he just goes, I'm so scared. He's actually being courageous over and over and over again. You know, he goes to the witch's castle. He fights the guards. He's protective of Dorothy. He's like, he constantly is being courageous, but he thinks he's cowardly. And that's why it's like, that's the tension right there. And then like,
hence making him interesting.
It's what's making him interesting. Right. And then, so Scarecrow, he's a character. Like I wrote down brainless genius, because he thinks he's brainless and he's like, if I only had a brain, but he's actually the one the entire movie making all the plans. He's like the tactical master. Here's what we should do.
I wrote down mindlessly clever, which is basically
the same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
And then Dorothy, I put homesick runaway.
Oh, that's good.
Cause like, you know, the entire movie, she's homesick, but like she's a runaway, you know. That's what made it interesting for me. And then the wizard, I put powerless ruler, like something like that.
Or I wrote down powerful charlatan.
Oh, that's even better. That's good.
He's powerful. He does have power in Oz, but he's a charlatan.
He's a charlatan. Yeah, that's really good.
What'd you write down for Tin Man?
I wrote.
I didn't write anything. I was wondering
Yeah,
if you
he's a tricky
he's
one. Like
trickier.
Cowardly Lion is so easy that
Yeah.
you immediately think, oh, the Scarecrow and Tin Man are going to be easy, and then
All
it's
right,
like, ooh,
I couldn't put words to this, but I'll describe what I was circling around. It's
Okay.
like he claims he can't feel. He's like the most emotionally expressive character in the group. He rusts from his own tears, and like the tension I feel is from him like feeling too much when he's saying he
Mhm.
doesn't have a heart. So I don't know what that is, but
like
he's
heartless empath or something like
yeah,
that.
that's it. That's good. That's
You
good.
know,
Yeah,
something
he's
like that.
he's crying, so he's crying, and then his face freezes, and
Yeah.
he's like, "I don't
You
have
could
a heart."
You could also maybe go in a direction of like empathetic invincible or something like
That
that. He's like, like you always say their physicality and his ability.
yeah, that's a good one.
He's
That's
like this
good.
powerful being, kind of more than
Yeah.
all of them.
The,
But
the weird
But
thing about
empathy.
saying heartless empath is the part that I'm not sure about is really
he
he's
doesn't
not
act
heartless
heartless.
at all. Yeah.
He's
Well,
not.
he's yeah. That's just the label he thinks. That's the
That's
lie
why I
he's
was going
telling
for
himself.
That's what we were talking about.
That's why I was going
Yeah.
for his physicality. Like the
Yeah.
lion is like
All
saying he's
along,
this
all of these, what's interesting is they actually are the thing
thing
that
that they,
we
Mhm.
label them not to be, and they label themselves, and we learn through the journey that they are not.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
I mean, if you look back at like Han Solo, reliable rogue, he wouldn't really say he's reliable. He'd be like,
Right.
I wouldn't stick my neck out for you, kid, or something.
That's true. Yeah.
He wouldn't
what
say
if the
that.
Tin Man was like a dangerous pacifist or something like that?
I mean, he's definitely like the most physically imposing figure, and not at
Right.
all of a day.
But he's also like he also is like the most feeling of everybody and
That's
stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it's a hard one.
you're circling around, but you feel it is what we're
Right, you feel that,
saying,
yeah.
and you feel that. So I just thought this Wizard of Oz, especially just Cowardly Lion, is tensity. Like
Cowardly Lion right there.
like that
good.
is what we're
Yeah.
when we talk
His
about
name
this.
is Tensity.
His name is it's in the name. It has to go up there on the all timers.
In some ways, Glinda the Good Witch is kind of like that.
That's,
yeah, a little bit.
It's like highlighting the subversion there.
Not
right?
to throw any witches that listen to our show under the bus.
Right. Yeah.
But back in 1939, that's what they were doing.
Exactly. So anyway, I thought
monkeys,
it was
they're silly demons.
they are.
They're silly demons.
Evil monkeys is just
Evil
like,
monkeys
kind of
works.
thing.
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought it was there. I thought it definitely is something that sticks out.
I mean, honestly, Cowardly Lion could just be like the base example
of all 10.
That whenever we talk about this,
we
just
should
the Cowardly
going
Lion.
forward. We should just use it. It's directly on the nose.
Right.
It's in his name. Yep.
Right. We already kind of touched on this a bit, the upside down world, but that leads into the lock-in and pillar beats. You guys want to set that up?
Yeah, Jamie, do you want to kind of go into lock-in first? Because it's been a couple years since we talked about it on the show, so listeners who even are familiar might need a refresher.
Yeah, sure thing. So the lock-in is it's kind of like, it goes hand in hand with the log line, I think. So a log line has a thing that in Save the Cat terms, we call it story DNA. Story DNA is hero, goal, obstacle, stakes. That has to be present in the log line. And in my opinion, when you're breaking your story, I think it's more important than the log line that you know what your hero, goal, obstacle, stakes are for your movie. So like Raiders of the Lost Ark would be Indiana Jones has to find the Lost Ark of the Covenant. The obstacle are the Nazis and the fact he doesn't know where it is. And the stakes are if the Nazis find it, they'll use its power for, to win
world domination.
Okay. So in this one, it's Dorothy has to find her way home. That's her goal. She has to get home. The obstacle is the witch for one, and two, she doesn't know how to get home, so she's following the road. And then the obstacle or the stakes would be she never gets home. She never makes it home. So
you could say like she has to get to the wizard to get home.
It's kind of a sub goal in some ways.
Yeah.
It's kind of you could easily pitch it that way. That's the goal, and then the stakes are getting home. It could easily be that's the log line. There's always this. I can't think of what that silly log line everybody says, like, oh, a girl kills a witch and then there's some funny log line that people always share, but
like a meme log line or
That
something.
makes it sound, yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up. But the anyway, the lock-in is the moment, in my opinion, that the audience, or no, my fact, my demand, no, is the moment that the audience knows all the elements of the story DNA,
Okay.
and they're like, oh, this is what the movie's about. To me,
Okay.
that's the lock-in moment. And typically, and we'll discuss this a little bit,
I found it.
happens. You found it. What is it? What is
It's transported to a surreal landscape. A young
it.
girl kills the first person she meets and then teams up with 3 strangers to kill again.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but
It's an old classic.
yeah.
So typically the lock-in happens at the break into 2 moment. So it happens right before the break into 2. A hero commits to a plan of action, and there's a goal, and that goal is the goal from the log line. Like Indiana Jones is now going to look for the Ark. He's going to quest for the Ark of the Covenant. The Nazis are in the way, and the moment that the hero commits to that and is on that journey, that's the lock-in moment, or decides to lock into that journey.
That's interesting. So now that you said it, Bob, I feel like you and I are going to be, we were talking about this right before we started. So like in this case though, so there's somebody a long time ago, about I think it's like 7 years old, the link I sent you, Save the Cat, did a beat sheet on their website, on the Save the Cat website for this. And they have the end of Act 1, the break into 2, being not until she embarks on the mission, right? The yellow brick road.
I can read it if you want.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
The break into 2. Dorothy, guided by the Munchkins, begins her journey down the yellow brick road, a literal road in this golden fleece, and enters her antithesis world, one that is not as safe as her home was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would agree. I'm sort of in agreement with that break into 2 as the lock-in. Again, there's different ways you could view this, and I kind of already know where you're going to go with this. But,
yeah, because I just don't see how Act 2 isn't the second she's in Oz, because it's a completely upside down world.
It is also only like a 10-minute difference.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
This is very similar to what we found in Groundhog Day and Back to the Future, in a lot of these stories. Should Act 2? It just depends on how you define. It's more.
It's how you skin it. I got you. But so it speaks to this thing, Jamie, that I've been pointing out a couple episodes recently. This little portion of the story, Welcome to the Upside Down World, where there's no goals. It's literally the audience and the hero or anti-hero acclimating themselves to this upside down circus mirror world. It's Neo in the Matrix. We just did Elf. It's Elf for 8 minutes in New York, like picking up the bubble gum and eating it and be like, and trying to hug a real raccoon and getting attacked.
When he gets to the medieval times.
Yes, exactly. And in the Substance, we did it. It's from 25 minutes to 33 minutes when she got injected, and she's just enjoying her new body, but like she's not dealing with any goals. She's not locked into anything. So it's interesting though that you're kind of pointing it out that the Act 2 doesn't usually begin until after that, because she's not focused on any of these things, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's, in my world, it's more the way I help writers figure out their story.
Okay.
As opposed to like let's say this was a television show, and it was a break into 2 television wise or something. We'd probably want a commercial break. Like, she opens the door. Oh no, commercial break. And that's it's a curtain. It's a curtain moment, right?
Yeah.
And that really is like a break into Act 2, in some ways. And by the way, Blake Snyder in his books is very inconsistent with, like, he didn't really go into the whole, like, this whole goal obstacle stakes, the way I define it, is kind of the way I define it, and
me too. I'm into
he came up with the goal obstacle stakes, but this whole notion that it clicks in at the lock-in moment and things like that, that's something I subscribe to. Gotcha. So I've seen him say, and of course now she's in the upside down world of the Munchkins. So that means
Yeah.
it's the break into two. And then the next story, he'll do it the other way. And
Gotcha.
it's funny, in his book, he was doing it more based on page 25. Like he was trying to say, it's page 25. And he was trying to prove that point so hard that he was a little bit malleable
I
as to what
gotcha.
these things were.
Okay.
And I honestly think in his initial beat sheet, he wasn't really thinking like he didn't, go through all the use cases of it to kind of be like, oh, that doesn't work and this one does and this. He was just like, yeah, page 25. Yeah, it sounds right. We'll just say upside down world. She's in, but from my perspective, when I help writers, I want them to come up with a moment where the hero's on a goal and blah, 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 and this and that. So I find the break into two is really important. And that's what I use for that. Maybe if there was a advanced Save the Cat, there would be we'd have another beat called entry into the upside down world.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And maybe that would coincide sometimes with the lock-in. And sometimes, Jurassic Park is a good example.
Right.
Like when they show up at Jurassic Park, maybe that would be entry into the upside down world. But
It's not bad yet.
yeah, but their commitment to the goal probably doesn't happen to like the midpoint or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a little bit more floaty and loose.
Yeah.
But we definitely see this in stories that have world building, like
Mhm.
fish out of water world building.
Mhm.
It's you want, sometimes the goal is I'm in New York and I'm looking for my dad, and they have a goal when they hit New York. And sometimes it's like, oh, I've been dropped in New York and now I don't know what to do and I have to figure out what to do. And
Yep.
It's going to take me, like I got to understand what New York is and why I'm here, like Back to the Future.
Bob, you had a good riff on this the last couple times
Well, I was just going to say, in this specific example, the reason that I would like Jamie, obviously, totally, I'm not going to disagree with you on this, but the reason I think I was leaning towards what you were saying, Jimmy, when we talked about this in our chat,
yeah,
was because in this specific case, unlike some of the things you just referenced, Jamie, the movie is her running back home to be with her family right before she gets transported. Like she's actually in the act of wanting to be home again very badly. And then and then she gets taken. So that's the only reason I was leaning towards Jimmy's
gotcha.
Jimmy's version of this, is because I was like right before, which is something that's not technically there in a lot of the things that you said.
That's
like
true.
Jurassic Park, that's not there.
It's not as focused before this moment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you could argue Back to the Future.
I just put it in because I feel like this is an important thing that is missing from a lot of scripts that I read, which is like it's a quick fun and games that is not goal focused. That I think it happens in The Matrix. It happens in Groundhog Day. Like you said, it happens in Jurassic Park. It happens in Superman and RoboCop. And it's Legally Blonde when she arrives at Harvard, before she gets the job and everything. It's the chocolate factory, just like enjoying the crazy chocolate factory for 7 or 8 minutes before you're focused on, actually winning the job, And it's Billy Madison when he gets to school. I think I put that on there from you, Bob.
Yeah.
Like he's not focused on the goal. He's Billy Madison in a school. So
he's acclimating
I thought
to school
it was
again.
cool. I thought it was cool that we had like basically there's 9 minutes before she gets like, you got to follow the yellow brick road to get to Oz to get home. There's like 9 minutes of Munchkinland singing. Where it's like they're just like singing and you're like, what the hell is this place? And it tracks with all those other examples I just said of like we're just acclimating for 9 minutes to what is this new world. So that was the only reason I popped it in.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because the other part about it is if you go by the version I'm saying with the lock-in,
Mm-hmm.
then we kind of have a double bump catalyst.
Yes.
With the tornado and then the witch being killed.
Yes.
And then it enters into an area of debate in some ways. Like,
yep.
What does this mean? Killing the witch? what is this place?
There's a
What am
lot
I
of
supposed to
questions
do?
that don't get answered. Yeah.
There's a lot of questions, and then they get answered by the break into two, which pushes her onto a quest,
Yep.
which is the road trip. And this is a Golden Fleece story, so it gets pushed onto the road trip. So whether or not, did you track by chance, because I didn't look at it, when the break into two happens versus, like, did you track the minute count, or did you not?
It's 35.
So when she goes on the
The
quest,
Yellow Brick Road starts at at minute 35. Yep.
which feels like 10 minutes late. And when does she
22 minutes is when she opens
22.
the door.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's closer. So I bet you if Blake did this in his book, he'd probably be like, we're right at the 25-minute mark. She finds out the witch is dead, or something. He would probably do it that way. I always kind of err on the other way, just because I'm so hyper focused on the story DNA.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'd skip the one or not, but honestly, if you do it the way I'm saying, you probably would try to have like her be on the quest by page 25.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah.
It would probably be like,
Nowadays.
you'd probably be 10 minutes earlier, because if you're already at page 35 and she's on the quest, that might be a little long for people. That's the theory. It might be like, wow, because they'd still be wondering what this weird movie's about.
Yeah.
The house crashed on the witch. There are these munchkins that are all excited. She's getting ruby slippers. What's going on? And they'd want like her to be on the quest by page 25 in order to bring it in by page 100 in a lean page count. So, and not that any of that's that important, but there's some importance to those page count things. Trust me, I just got hired to reduce 30 pages from a script. Somebody paid me to do it. So as much as some people might say that's BS. And I'll say this too. This is a tangent. The 3 last scripts I worked on all had very high priorities on page counts. 2 of them were animated.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because one of them I wrote and it kind of got greenlit. I think it did get greenlit. And the producers came back to me and they were like, hey, we're trying to reduce the script you wrote from 100 pages to like 90 pages or something. I think mine was 105 and they were trying to get down to 90. And I gave them some suggestions and they showed me the script and they had just gone through and scratched things out and done all this stuff. And it was like, they were very serious about, like, they had to get it down to 90 to get a green light, so as much as people say like, oh, that page count stuff is BS, 100 pages.
Not if you're in the industry though.
If you're in the industry, I get rewrites to cut things down almost all the time. I talk about how, like, one of the Nickelodeon projects, or maybe 2 of them, I used to hand in spec screenplays of like 100 to 110 pages, and they wanted to air those on movie of the week kind of things. They needed them like to be 75 pages, and they'd hire me to cut 30 pages out. So it's kind of a real thing. So that's a little screenwriter aside. That as much as I understand why people say, oh, it doesn't matter if your script's 140 pages, it kind of does. And then
if you're making a Tubi movie, you can ignore it.
Yeah, and honestly, when you're trying to sell it, there was somebody who posted on Twitter the other day that said that basically said, look, there are no rules, but the first thing a reader is going to pay attention to, they're going to pay attention to 2 things. And Jimmy can probably I know I can attest to this when I read consulting screenplays. Page count's number 1. First thing I'm like, 130, it's painful. But then the second
200,
thing,
like I said,
200. I've never gotten one that high. I've probably gotten one that's 140 once.
It's a novel.
And they're never, the 140 ones are almost never that great. They're not that great. But anyway, the second thing is density on the page. Because you can have a 90-page script, but it's just a block of words.
I call it walls of words.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually track every wall of words when they show up. And yeah.
Anyway, that's my side.
It's one of my codes. Walls of words.
Walls of words. Speaking of words, Let's talk about music and wants and needs. The terrible transition.
That was awesome, Bob. Jamie, is this yours?
Jamie just muted himself.
Yeah. Can you repeat that one more time? I had to check something.
Music and wants and needs. Is that yours?
Music and wants and needs is mine. Yep. So but the one thing I noticed, because we haven't done a lot of musicals, is this one has kind of these spots where they put the music in, and I just wondered if there was something there. And the first thing, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the first thing that comes to mind, there's this notion of I want song early in the story, and it honestly tracks a lot with the theme stated kind of thing. Yeah, it feels like it is the theme stated. And the funny thing is, in that beat sheet, I'm looking at it now, it lists the song as the theme stated, so the Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And then, so when else? And I don't know if we talked about this Rudolph at all or not.
I don't think we did.
But like, when do you, if you're writing a musical, when do you write music?
When do they sing and about what?
Yeah, and it's usually about, like in this movie in particular, it's like almost about the lie that they think about themselves or something.
The lie they believe,
what they believe they need.
It's like want versus need in the verse in the song.
They're confessions almost. And then the other thing, and this tracks with Rudolph. Rudolph did the same thing. I mean, he kind of, I can't remember the exact songs, but I remember there's one where it's kind
Why can't I fit in?
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
But then the other ones, besides that kind of lie, is when they join together, it's kind of like, we're off to see the wizard,
Yep.
And
goal statement.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it is.
And Rudolph had the same thing. They had one like that where the two guys, it was that song that was two different ones. They cut the one, and it's in some, I can't remember what the song is.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Now, and then the music kind of cuts off in this. It fades away as the story gets more focused and serious in the second half. And the one thing you never see in this particular brand of musical, and maybe Disney musicals, I'd say, are the same thing. You never see it in an action scene or like a horror scene or something like that. It knows when to tonally, when music works.
Quieter.
I remember Edgar Wright saying how he, like, when he made Scott Pilgrim, he said, like, our movie is like a musical, except when the emotions get so high, people fight instead of sing. But that aside, it's just like his statement about the emotions have to be there for the song to exist.
Yeah.
So when you get into all like the plot of the fighting and the horror and everything, they don't need to be singing them. They need to be singing earlier when they're setting up their emotional. Right?
Maybe in a movie like West Side Story, they do sing when they fight.
That's a good example.
They do. Yeah.
But in this, which I really equate this to the Disney models, because like all the Disney movies are kind of like this, where they have a couple songs, but it's not like wall-to-wall songs in every sequence or something.
It's not a rock opera.
It's not a rock opera at all or anything like that. It feels like they're more for monologues and less for any kind of action sequences or any kind of they almost occur in reaction to a plot moment as opposed to being the plot moment or something.
They're also
like
exposition.
They are.
And you want exposition earlier on more than
they're a clever way to get us in the heads of the characters. Absolutely. Yeah. And organic to like what this is. So it doesn't like make you roll your eyes.
Yeah. So that's all. I wanted to comment something about the music. It's not something I've ever studied. There's probably people listening that write musicals
they're like, come on, guys.
There's probably a Save the Cat for musicals out there that, says this song, this song, this song. Because the other thing this doesn't do, it never reprises anything. Like it doesn't go, like she doesn't look out in the stars and say somewhere over the rainbow, like in act 2.
It does that with Follow the Yellow Brick Road, and it does that with We're Off to See the Wizard. They do reprise those. It's kind of like status updates, but you're right about themselves. No.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the stage play, adds a couple things like that or something, but yeah.
I think it also, I mean, I've never written a musical, but I've got to imagine there's people that do write them, and just as they have problems with writing a normal script, they have problems with like when and what should they be
Mhm.
singing about. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They're like, should I make an entire song about the oil can? Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Right.
even if it's a great song, do we need a song about the oil
Yeah.
can? No, you
It-
don't.
It's interesting because it felt like once they committed to like one character getting a song, it felt like they had to commit to all three
They
characters.
kept
Right,
going.
right.
Yep.
That's how we meet them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, toyetic characters action figure exercise. We haven't done this in a minute.
Long time. First, I gotta make Jamie explain another thing, which is the term toyetic, where he heard that, because I can never remember it to give the anecdote myself.
I can't remember where I heard it either. I'd have to listen to my old podcast to hear where I heard it.
I want to say you said you heard Joel Schumacher talk about it as it being
maybe.
like being forced to make the Batman movies toyetic.
Yeah, that might be it. That might be it.
And,
Makes a lot of sense.
being like, you know, what the pressure that was put on him to make the characters toyetic and to make the movie toyetic.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Like it was more a research anecdote. It was never any. They didn't have a personal story where I heard that.
So the reason that I call it that is because it's just an easy way to explain a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. So okay, so yeah, it's been a while since we've done this. Years actually since we've done this. So I'll try to go through this breakdown as fast as possible. So one of the most common problems with a script I'm reading is that the characters, that there's so much focus on the internal aspect of the character. Simultaneously, the modern screenwriter is discouraged about putting visual specifics about the character's appearance for casting purposes and for diversity purposes, which I totally understand and respect. But because so many writers are no longer describing the appearance of the character, I'm getting script after script where I read an entire script and I couldn't tell you what anyone looks like at all. Not their costume, not their build, not anything about
blank
them.
slates.
They literally will describe they'll say Joe, and then they'll just describe his complete internal state in a very clever way. And then that's it. That's all we get about the Joe. And then the rest is what we learn. But we never see the image of Joe is never put into our heads when we're reading the script. And the argument is, well, like, that's up to the casting director,
costume designer, and all that stuff.
And my pushback is, no, your job is to inform that. And your job is to take time to make the character so visually memorable that the casting director and the costume and the director and the actor are jazzed to bring that to life. Even in the most mundane, we did Phil Ned Ryerson in Groundhog Day is an amazing action figure. Like his trench coat, he's got the hat, he's got the briefcase, like he's got great pull strings. Watch that step, it's a doozy. Right. Phil. So I've come up with this exercise to help my clients when I get a script and there's no visual details whatsoever on the page. I try to challenge them, like, at least fill this out, right? And find a way to work that in. And usually brainstorming these things, I've found for myself and for my clients, it inspires a lot of like character work. It inspires scenes, it inspires scenarios, it inspires dialogue, it inspires lots. So these are the prompts that I give for my action figure exercise. And then we can go through, and if you like this, my favorite one we did of this is The Princess Bride. We did this on The Princess Bride and it was a really good one. Cause like one of the first action figures I remember, I'll see if you guys remember these, the Mego, am I saying that right? The Mego Wizard of Oz figures.
Oh yeah.
Cause like, so before
I remember
He-Man,
the Marvel versions of.
Yes, then the Marvel in the 90s, but like in the 80s, you know, you had the Star Wars figures out there. but like there weren't a lot of action figures in the early 80s. And in my young mind, one of the first action figures I remember seeing is the Mego Wizard of Oz characters, like in the box, you know. And so, and like I said, a lot of people in the 80s were wearing these as Halloween costumes. Right. Jamie, I think you've spoken to this before. This is kind of like, if you can't come up with a Halloween costume for your character, like maybe you need to play a little bit more with what they look like.
Yeah, that's a Ted and Terry Rossio, Ted Elliott, word player.
Okay.
Notion. Yeah.
That's where it got. That's not a Jamie Nash original.
It is not. That is not. I think it's them. I don't know. I probably read that 20 years ago, but
go ahead, Bob.
Sure so.
Oh, I was just gonna say, this doesn't just only apply if you're making genre. This can
it's comedy. We did Wayne's World
comedy, but I'm saying, like, even if you're making a drama or some kind of thing, like, yeah, people should still be able to dress up with those characters
as those characters. And if you take the time to figure this out, it makes them more memorable in your mind. Okay, so what's inside the box? So unique physical appearance. This is less about attractiveness and more about physicality. And the example I use is like, imagine Indiana Jones versus the Nazi in the plane fight. If that Nazi character isn't described as the largest man in human history versus the everyman Indiana Jones.
Oh, just quick aside, when Crystal Skull came out and they did a whole line of toys, I remember that it was the German mechanic.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's what they call the guy that was in like a 2-pack with Indy. The German mechanic.
The German mechanic that he's fighting. But a lot of times what I'll read scripts is, because there's nothing been described, because the writers have, because honestly, what I always feel when I read this is fear. It's an intentional omission. Like the writer knows what they look like. They just don't want to offend like casting directors or, you know, actors, so they don't put anything. So, but physical appearance, it's less about attractiveness and more about like their physicality, for contrast to the other characters in the cast. It's story.
If the dude was dressed in a suit, that wouldn't work.
Yes.
The dude has to be dressed like the dude, because that's who he is.
Yeah, so that's perfect. So on that note, the costume, what clothes are your characters wearing during the closet of the movie? And for instance, like this movie, there's variants, right? Because they have when they go to Oz, they get a makeover and they get fancy Tin Man and fancy Dorothy and fancy. So and if you can like brainstorm, like what are my variants, right? Like what's my stain? Yeah. So and accessories, like what things best represent your character? How can you make those things premise specific? And brainstorming those accessories will also make your character more unique and maybe inspire moments of the movie. And then scars, birthmarks, tattoos, or stains that they get during the movie, right? If it's a horror movie, you're going to have your bloody version of Ash. There's the bloody Ash variant versus the clean Ash variant. And pull string quotes, like, or catchphrases. Do they have a signature catchphrase or line that when you pull the string, like Jamie will always have his pull strings. I have my pull strings, the bingo card. That can sort of help you. In my experience, that helps me hone in on the voice of the character. Like, can I come up with like 3 lines that just encapsulate who this character is, right? So I thought we could just riff on Dorothy. So physical appearance, what do you got?
I mean, she's got, I don't know what to call it, but she's got the she's got the braids.
Yep, the pigtails.
And then she's got her would that be like checker patterned?
Yeah, gingham. She's got the gingham dress, which I found out was like a farm. Farm outfit.
It's a material.
30s, so yeah,
gingham is just like a material, right?
So that was like character specific,
right?
Like
she's got
farm girl,
ruby slippers,
ruby slippers.
Yeah, the ruby slippers.
And she's got a basket.
Yeah, the accessories. Yeah,
could even say Toto.
Toto, yeah, holding.
Absolutely,
Toto.
You'd say Toto if you're buying that. If you're buying the action figure, Toto and the basket and ruby slippers are all coming with it. Yeah,
right.
And
a samurai sword.
Yeah, and the samurai sword. Depends which version of this. Yeah, and then
that's Wizard of Oz 2000.
Right.
What do you got for pull string?
Zack Snyder's Wizard of Oz.
Right. Pull string quotes. Well, there's no place like home.
No place like home.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Somewhere over the rainbow. I put lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And
Mm-hmm.
I've got a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. I
Right.
feel like all of those are Dorothy specific. Like that will, like, if you came up with those before you even wrote the movie, that would kind of help you, you know, hone in on Dorothy. So it was just something that this movie stood out as, like, all the characters are very toyetic, and I feel like the amount of effort given to their visual look and feel is one of the reasons why they stand the test of time.
Right.
So
You could easily do this with every other character. We're not going to, but
we're not going to, but you could
yeah,
do
you
this
could easily
exercise
do
with
it.
every
The,
character. Yeah.
Yeah.
the one thing I read was one of the early directors who shot some footage of Wizard of Oz. His name was Richard Thorpe, and she looked different in some of that footage. She had a blonde wig, and
Dorothy.
Yeah. I
yeah,
read that too,
Dorothy.
Jamie.
Yeah. And if keep in mind in the book, it was a little kid, like we said, it was supposed to be like Shirley Temple or something. But they were almost thinking of taking her to the Disney princess kind of,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
version of Dorothy. And then they backed off of that with when that director left and somebody else came in.
I don't know if it's true, but whatever I read before this podcast, it was one of the decisions was they wanted her to look less Aryan. Once
Oh,
again, the World War II
Whoa.
growing influence of World War II and Hitler and everything. So they took her from blonde to, brown hair.
Whoa.
yeah. So what do we think about writing a screenplay to the exact beats of Dark Side of the Moon?
I was waiting for you to bring that up.
Is that a good thing to do, or writing the suicide of a character into the background?
Oh, wow.
We'll talk about the Dark Side of the Moon when we get to Transformers 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Perfect.
You want to talk about villain construction?
Yeah, so we can skip I was going to do the action figure exercise for Wicked Witch, but I think we don't need to do that because there's enough of other things. So what struck, this is mine. So what really stuck out to me upon rewatching after 20 years is how good the villain construction is for this movie, and
Yeah.
and it's the writing of the villain, not just the visuals. So I kind of wanted to go down a list that we did for Immortan Joe in Mad Max Fury Road. This exact list we did for Immortan Joe. So if you like this, check out that episode because we put all our Immortan Joe stuff in there. So Jamie, do you want to explain the rooting resume and then we'll kind of riff on her reverse one?
Yeah, sure thing. So the rooting resume is, it's something I put in my books, and it's basically a checklist of reasons we root for a character that there, and usually stuff that happens in that first 10 to 15 pages we kind of talked about early on, the parts that the Kansas parts, that they put on. So, and it's usually a checklist of various things that make them either likable because of how cool they are, but a lot of it is just how unjust the world is to them or how they're an underdog in the world. And we just naturally gravitate toward rooting for underdog kind of characters.
Yeah, and what we found, we did this for the Gremlins. we did this for Hannibal Lecter. We did this for Hans Gruber. We did this for Biff. We've done this for a great many villains. And we actually did it for a bad villain in the Electric State that didn't have this, which informed why they were not an interesting villain.
Oh,
so
the Electric State.
I think that if we do the Wicked Witch of the West, we're going to find, so what we found is when we do the villains, they invert a couple of these. They have a lot of the same rooting resume that a hero has. And then where they have the opposite, or they have their own version of it, makes them like a very complex character and compelling character. Those inversions where it's on the negative side are what makes them stand out. And Jamie, you know what it made me think of? It's kind of like Tensity. It's like rooting Tensity. It's like they have all these rooting things, but then they have this other thing that makes them really not good to root for, and that contrast is what makes them an interesting villain. So thought we could go down the list of your thing and answer them all.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I got it open if you want me to read
Yeah,
them.
you want to go
If
through it?
Jamie doesn't want to read them for a 900th time.
Oh yeah, no, feel free because I don't have it open.
So
right
this will
now.
be. I'll read them, but we're doing the.
We're gonna
reverse.
ask ourselves what we think. Yeah,
And you want me to
just
go
read
down the sub? You want the main ones or the subs?
No, just the main ones, man.
Okay, so number 1, they're underdogs.
Mm.
Is the witch an underdog? No.
No, she's all powerful.
She's all powerful. She's got an army of monkeys. People fear her.
Does she view herself as an underdog in the world?
I've just watched Wicked, and I do think she's an underdog. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally what that's
the movies
about.
are about. Yeah,
that's what it's about. Yeah.
But
I don't know if the argument's too heavy.
Well, here's the thing: she might, but we don't get to see that.
We don't get to see it. Yeah,
so
it's not
all
there.
we get to see is that she's all powerful. So she's an inverse right there, right off the bat. She's the opposite. She's not an underdog at all. She's all powerful. No. Okay, so that's our first inversion.
Number 2, they care about someone or something.
Yeah,
she cares
absolutely.
about her sister.
Her sister
being killed.
Yep. So there you go.
That's good.
So, just like a hero.
Right, just like right. Number 3, they try very hard to make their lives better. The inverse of this is almost she tries very hard to make everyone's lives worse.
She tries very hard to make everybody else's life worse.
Yeah, she does.
That's fucking awesome.
I mean, she's just straight up trying to kill.
Yeah.
She wants Dorothy dead and her dog.
Worse. She's trying to end their lives.
Right.
So there's the inversion.
That counts. 4, they're fun.
She's extremely
it's arguably one of the most famous villain performances in cinema history. Yes. So there you go.
So she definitely checks that on the positive side. It's interesting.
So they're fun. She's fun to the audience, but she's not fun to the characters.
To the characters, yes, that's good. That's perfect.
Yeah,
like any cartoon mustache twirling villain. Yes.
5, we know their struggle.
I don't think besides that moment of you killed my sister, we know like anything about how she feels.
Well, it does say they're in mourning is one of the sub.
Well, I mean, but do we see her mourn? Do we connect with her mourn?
Not really.
Yeah. So
that might not apply.
I think the emotional blankness of like what's she like inside her is makes it interesting. You know? Like, yeah.
Number 6, we wish we were more like them. That's a reverse, right?
No, inverted.
Although I kind of wish I had powers.
Yeah, it would be cool.
She teleports, man. I wish I could teleport.
Yeah, she can fly. That's cool.
She can fly and teleport.
So it's another inverted. Yeah, the opposite.
7, they're just like us. She's not.
Completely the opposite.
She's not like the people of Oz.
Yeah, that's right. And that
specifically
makes her,
when we meet her, she's not anything like the Munchkins.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Last one, number 8. They're the best at something.
Definitely.
She's
right,
easily.
Jamie?
Yeah, I mean she's the evilest.
She's the evilest. Yeah. That's my favorite one of your rooting resume, Jamie.
She's now the best at something because you killed her sister. Exactly. Like she's the only one left. Yeah. She's the best by default.
That's true. Yeah, she's the best Wicked Witch. Yeah. She's the only Wicked Witch. So, I think this is another good example of how you can use Jamie's rooting resume and you can go through these and say, how can you play with them to invert some, but keep some exactly as a hero has? Like she cares about something very deeply, her sister. And that's just like a hero, and that makes that tensity. I love it, man. This is one of my favorite things. This is one of my favorite tools that Jamie's come up with.
It's good stuff. Is that everything you wanted on the Wicked Witch?
For the rooting resume.
You have other stuff here.
Yeah, I'll go down it. So the next one is so we haven't talked about the nightmare fuel exercise much, and I won't go into it as deeply as I do, but like one way to make a good villain is to ask yourself, like, what is my character's worst nightmare, and what specifically about my character and their life can put a face on that, and that becomes your villain. If you can tap into those specific things, then that villain becomes like so deeply personal to your character that they're the perfect villain for this story. And I think that before world that they added
Yeah, well,
really,
this is her nightmare. This is a
yeah,
nightmare.
it's
literally
literally
her
her
nightmare. Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah, give
But
the woman that wants to kill my dog superpowers in a place
exactly.
where I'm not home anymore.
Exactly. But if you can take that, if you can take the idea of that and like make it figurative, like
Yeah.
in your own story, that's a really good way. Like, if you can find a way to make your villain your character's walking worst nightmare, like personified, that's a really good way to, like, it's kind of speaking to the Belloc indie circus mirror. You know, you and I are the same. Like,
There by the grace of God goes I.
what if Indiana Jones, with all of his same knowledge and understanding, was bad and had like evil morals? Then you got Belloc, you know. So then the other thing I think this movie does,
You
and
could
I don't
almost
want to
argue the wizard is her Belloc.
yeah, because she's kind of like
she could have been a
and,
charlatan and lied and all that stuff, like him. But
have you guys ever heard of bicycle face? The term?
No.
Okay.
No. Is that like Siren Head? No.
No.
It sounds like it sounds like a tick villain.
Okay.
Bicycle face.
No, so this is actually a really serious subject.
Oh.
So
sorry.
It's okay. I set it up like it was funny. It's not funny at all. So I think what this movie does, so the other thing on the same note of like trying to tap into what your character's worst nightmares is, if you're crafting a villain, one way to make them interesting is to figure out what your topic is about, what your movie is about, and tap into like, what's my audience's fears, nightmare fuel about this topic. And if you can make that character like the face of that, it's very much like Society is the villain, like the mayor in Jaws.
Right.
He's like the on the earth villain in the movie. But if you can make your character put a face on the nightmare fuel about this topic you're writing about, then that makes that villain even more memorable to the audience because it makes them scare them personally and deeply. So in 1939, so in the late 1800s and in the early 1900s, there was a fear of women riding bikes because riding bikes made you independent and gave you agency and gave you the ability to like ride away from your husband and do your own things, that whatever you wanted, right? So in the late 1800s, medical journals coined a term called bicycle face, and they literally described it as, if you ride a bike, you will be disfigured and get a long nose, bulging eyes, hard jaws, and dark circles. And they called this medical term that basically they called it bicycle face, and it was designed to scare women from riding a bike. So, and she's like Miss Gulch, even though like they portray her as mean, she's an unmarried, childless, independent woman riding a bike. And I definitely think it's no accident that they were like tapping into like the 1939 patriarchal audience fears of a woman like this, right? And then you tap on like they put the fantasy paint on her, and now she's a witch riding a broom, which is the same thing, right? If it was an
even more free.
Yes, if it, you know, independent, powerful women before 1939 were accused of being witches. And so I think the combo of that was very intentional, and probably why it struck such a chord with a large part of that audience. You know, we know now that those are terrible things to be afraid of, but anyway, I think it's very interesting.
Did you find out about bicycle face researching this movie?
No, I found out about bicycle face from Jill.
Oh, I
knew all about it. And
I've sadly never heard of that.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh my God, the bicycle face in this movie is so crazy." And I was like, so shout out to my wife.
Yeah, Jesus.
For educating me about that. Yeah.
Dark stuff.
Yeah, and then the last thing I want to do is the villain's plan. Like, she's got a very clear villain's plan that we can track. It's a vengeance story, and we've talked about in the past, like John Wick, When there's vengeance, like the goal is so easy, right? The bad thing already happened and you want justice. And every moment that there's no justice, the character feels pain. And I think that that's clear from the moment we meet the witch to the end. So it's just, it's a great villain.
She needs to kill.
Yes.
Dorothy, right. MacGuffins. We haven't. When's the last time we talked about MacGuffins?
Indy 4.
Okay.
But Jamie, do you want to explain to the listeners what a MacGuffin is who doesn't know?
Yeah, MacGuffin is a crime dog that was popular. Yeah, no, that's McGruff. I'm sorry. So MacGuffins are a term that Alfred Hitchcock coined, and it was basically the kind of object of desire in a literal sense, not metaphoric, that the plot revolves around. So it might be like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, for example, might be a MacGuffin, a sort, the lost ark of the covenant. George Lucas constantly talked about, he's like, it's so hard to come up with MacGuffins for these movies. And it's like they came up with like
terrible George Lucas.
Yeah, I know. I gave it a shot. I don't know. It was closer to Michael Jackson or something.
Yeah, it did not sound good. That's fine.
But yeah, I remember he used to always complain about that. And then he'd come up with like Sankara stones or something. And it was like, really? Like that's hard to come up with? You had trouble with that? Like that was your big problem? You should have called me.
Right.
The crystal skulls, for example. I think the crystal skulls were pretty cool.
They're cool.
They're not the problem with that.
They're not the problem.
No.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what a MacGuffin is. It's some object that is kind of quested, desired. Maybe the hero has it and the bad guy's trying to get it. Maybe the hero's trying to get it. Maybe it's a race to claim the object.
It's like a story engine.
It's a story engine.
Yes.
But specific usually to objects, I think.
Yep. And in this case,
if you listen to our Rise of Skywalker episode, we talk about one of the reasons that movie's atrocious. It's because it's like there's like 5-6
MacGuffins. Yeah, I can't even remember them now that you say that.
I remember
the Wayfinders. That's what they were called, the Wayfinders.
Oh
Into the Spider-Verse just recoined it Goobers or something, right?
Yeah, Goobers. Yeah. They were exactly.
Because MacGuffin was trademarked and they didn't want to say it.
Yes. That's awesome.
They didn't want to confuse it with the crime dog.
Right. Or MacGruber.
It was awesome to be like, okay, wow, there's a MacGuffin, like, right, even though this movie is from the 1930s and the oldest movie we've done, there it is, right away, one of the classic arc plot Hollywood cheeseburger tools.
I mean, literally, this MacGuffin's hanging in or it's displayed in the Smithsonian. I mean,
yeah. Well, and I just went to the doc. This is like it
belongs in a museum.
But I just went to the doctor, and the nurse was wearing ruby slipper custom Converse that were ruby slippers. And I was like,
really?
I was like, I mean, this is still so popular in our culture. It's probably
and it's not in the book.
Yeah,
the book is silver.
Exactly.
Silver slippers.
The movie has made this MacGuffin is so popular that a 50-year-old nurse that in my doctor's office is wearing them it's to work.
I absolutely love Return to Oz, as I've said before, but
Me
that
too.
was one of the big arguments of that movie is they wanted to be more accurate and wanted to use the silver slippers, but they were like, no, it has to be. It's just one of those things where it's in the consciousness. So this is so well done.
Yes,
in the
way it's handled.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how the best MacGuffins there's a lot of MacGuffins that don't do anything. Like you said, the briefcase, Jamie, in Pulp Fiction. But the best MacGuffins, they actually serve a function in the story, like this one, where it's what she uses to wake up, The
briefcase is almost like a satire of a MacGuffin.
Yeah, totally.
But
if you want to know how to use a MacGuffin, study this movie.
Right. The not so secret weapon. Water.
So this is one of the most interesting things the movie does differently than the arch plot Hollywood cheeseburgers that we've done is that the
M. Night
not so
Shyamalan
secret
ripped it
weapon.
off.
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
Pretty
funny.
much. I mean, that's yeah.
I think he set it up though. There's like a flashback of a memory of like,
Yeah.
I remember when the alien was acting weird around
No,
the
it was
water.
the little girl. She didn't like the taste of water.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
And she put the water all
She'd
over the
only
house.
drink. She'd leave them all over the place.
Yeah.
So they have a quick. We did set it up. It's not so secret, but this one I kind of wanted to talk about with you guys. Okay, so I'll breeze through this one. It's like one of the most common talking points I do. It's a specialized person, place, thing, or scenario set up that the hero uses in the climax to help them succeed. It's Luke using the Force to blow up the Death Star. It's crossing the streams in Ghostbusters. It's the oxygen tank in Jaws. And recently in Elf, it's a Christmas Carol to raise the Christmas spirit in order to fly the sleigh. So in this one, what I thought was interesting is they never set it up. And it's just like all along if they had touched her with water all along, she would have melted. So I kind of wanted to ask you guys what you thought of that and why you think it works. Because it works. I think it works.
I think if I saw this in a movie today, it wouldn't work. I'd be
Okay.
like, really? All she had to do was dump a bucket of water and I'm melting.
I'd
be like,
I mean, there's some argument for that if it was just a brand new movie to us and we're like with modern day effects or something.
Yeah.
But I also
imagine if they dump a bucket of water on Thanos and he by accident he suddenly
that'd
died.
be great.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm melting. Thanos is like, I'm melting. Ah, and it was like that.
Awesome.
I mean,
you're missing the water stone, dude.
If I had to argue for why it does work, is that much like Alice in Wonderland, Oz is a very strange, inhuman, non-earthly place.
Upside down world.
It's an upside down world. So something as innocent as water. We're not shown oceans or anything either, by the way, when we're there. Something as innocent as that having such an effect there, it kind of does work. And the movie's weird. I guess if I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of not having seen this 100 times, it's such a weird place. If you're just introduced to it, why wouldn't water do that? You know? I don't know what anything does
like
here
that.
at all.
I like the upside down approach there.
Yeah.
I was gonna pitch something to you guys. It's like, we've talked about the Orson Welles approach to theme and how in the past, like how it's never stated. It's the opposite. It's like it's a feeling that's explored through various things, various aspects of the story, and you're supposed to like feel it without it being said, right? So I think it might be because I feel it, right? I feel the moment, the moment of victory. It feels victorious. It feels earned for me. And I think what it is that it's not actually the water. It's like her courage,
right?
Like because she's been fearful the whole time, and then in the face of the witch attacking her and catching her friend on fire, she like does the courageous thing. Instead of like running away, she fights it head on and grabs a bucket of water and puts him out, and it's the courage that earns the victory. And that was my thought, is like, I think that it's like the emotion is actually the secret weapon.
It's actually, it was the same death, wasn't
it?
Yeah.
They stood up to Pennywise and he was like, I shrunk and turned into a shriveling.
That's a good call. It is pretty much the same thing. So that was when I was like trying to like, I agree with that. I was trying to go like, why does this work?
I also think it works because she still has to like stand up to the wizard kind of thing too.
Yep. So there's another confrontation.
So this is kind of like the villain before the villain kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good, it's like not the final boss.
Right.
Yeah.
And there she has to kind of do her character arc moment and No Place Like Home.
That's right. That's a good call.
So in some ways, that's why I give it a little bit of a pass, because as much as this feels like the big villain showdown, there still is something else to get her home that still has to happen.
I also, I don't know, when I was a kid, I used to think it had something to do with the storm.
Yeah, like it's nature based.
That was my kid brain was like some kind of parallel between she was
does
brought
feel
here
like
by
a force
of
nature. Yeah,
she was brought here by a wet force, very wet force of nature.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's kind of weird, and I don't know if this is just because this was like as early as my memories, this movie, you know what I mean? Like, it just was like the first things. It's kinda like the same thing, like, I never really questioned, like, Hansel and Gretel or something like
Right, right.
that. I'm just like, "Yeah, it is what it is," and that's kind of the way I feel about this movie. It just kind of is what it is, and it's almost like these are the things the future things are based off of or something. They're like these old fables, even though this
Mhm.
isn't that, but that's what he was kind of aiming for when he wrote this, was like an American myth or something, fairy
Mhm.
tale, you know?
Like Bob said earlier, allegorical, like
Yeah.
water is purity,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
purity versus
So
evil. It's like holy water on the demon, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So I sort of give everything in it a pass because it just feels like,
yeah.
it was before anybody came up with these storytelling rules or something, and it's,
Yeah, and it's like
it's
if you
beyond that.
try to write an
And
allegory now in
and
2026.
and it does a good job in like the fable type of way that you're saying. Like nobody, Dorothy doesn't encounter people that are like, all we got to do is throw water on her. It's almost
Yeah.
like they probably know that might kill her, but they don't talk about it like it's so
Right,
normal. You know,
right, right.
it's not
I
just this like
Yeah.
known thing.
No, and what
Because
would
it's
probably happen in a modern movie if you were to rewrite this, each of the characters would have to get a moment like the courage stood up for, and he
Yeah,
did
yeah.
this, and then the scarecrow outsmarted her, and then the heart thing, or I don't know. And they'd each get one, and then Toto would be the not so secret weapon. It would be a dog bite because that's what got her, and it'd be some weird
Well, that'd
thing.
be more like that would be more like rewriting what happens with the wizard, right? The wizard kind of just they all just needed someone to tell them that they're fine.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
the
That's
power was in them all
but
along.
the modern
Exactly.
version is what Jamie just said. They would do
Yeah,
the
they
thing
they they
that they
would
think they aren't.
find the magic was within them all
Oh,
along. They would find it,
right.
which they
Which they
kinda
kind of
do.
do.
They
Yeah, they
kinda
kind of
do.
They
do.
do.
They kinda do.
Yeah,
They just would do that in service of taking down the witch once and for all. That's
Mhm.
probably
yeah.
what happened.
It'd be
Um,
a very modern third act thing.
after she cut Dorothy's feet off
Yeah,
too,
right.
or
Or
something.
Dorothy cuts the witch's feet off because
Or
it's like she
Yeah.
can no longer wear the shoes that she so desires. You know
Yes,
what I
that's
mean? Like
good.
that.
well, I'm gonna make this I'll put this in my edit along with the Cujo scene in the opening.
Right, right. Okay, last one. Save the dog. Who's this?
Yeah,
Mm.
I said, "Is this the template for the arch plot Hollywood cheeseburger we talk about so often on our show, that our whole show is about?"
Like what Save the Cat is essentially based on?
I'm saying, like, there's a 5-point finale we didn't go over. There's a literal high tower surprise, which I wasn't sure if Blake based it. She's in a high tower, like,
Yes,
like, I was
true,
like,
she
"Wait,
is.
is that the high tower surprise?" Like like, I don't know, but, I just think it does all the things that we know and love from our big budget Hollywood blockbusters, and it did it first
Right.
that we know of. I mean, there might be some Fritz Lang stuff that, like, we haven't done Metropolis, um,
Right. Well, there
but
there are there are things I mean, this is definitely an iconic one, but if you think back, like Douglas Fairbanks' Robin Hood or
Mhm.
King
Yeah.
Kong to a certain, things like that. So there were kind of Snow White for that matter.
Mhm.
So there were, and not to say the Storm in the Castle and stuff. There were other things kind of leading up to this blockbuster fantasy, adventure
Mhm.
filmmaking. Um, but it makes a good point that kind of this one sort of stands the test of time. Like, I'm not sure. I was thinking about this the other day. Um, when I was a kid, I saw all those movies. Like, it was pretty common to watch Robin Hood, Douglas
Yeah.
Fairbanks, black and white. Um, I don't think people watch this at all anymore. I think they're kind of vanishing from the conversation.
Mhm.
Even and this is where my head went with this. Even King Kong. I'm not sure how many people go back to the black and white King Kong.
The
Um,
OG.
yeah, it's kind of a. I remember as a kid, even knowing how old it was it kind of blew me
Same
away.
with Godzilla.
Yeah,
Yep.
Original Godzilla.
there was the Lost World,
The Lost
the
World.
dinosaur
I
movie.
think
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
It's a Wonderful Life stays in rotation because of Christmas.
yep,
Mhm.
yeah.
And this kind of I don't know, this stays in rotation like we said, it doesn't really have a tie to Christmas or even Thanksgiving. So this is kind of, I don't know. This has that staying
Just
power that,
yes.
you know.
And I think it speaks to like it does all the things that we see from a
Yeah.
storytelling standpoint. Yeah, the arcs are thin, but it does all the things that we talk about. Uses all the tricks and all the techniques. I mean, I didn't even put, like I said, the 5-point finale. I didn't put a lot of stuff on the list that it was doing. There's premise pretzels galore. There's a Tin Man's rusting premise pretzel. There's a whiteboard for all the different ways that Toto causes trouble. There's a whiteboard for all the different ways the stuffing of the scarecrow causes problems. It's doing all the things that we talk about, and I just wondered if maybe it like set the standard, you know, that, and that's it, because it was so culturally impactful. That's why the movies are still doing what it did.
I think what I was trying to say at the beginning was it's like storytelling is obviously old as humanity, but in the specific medium and place that we talk about in this show, it just feels like, yes, a lot of stuff came from this movie.
Yeah. And I think there's a certain, I remember back in the 90s, I was trying to analyze, again, this is a time,
sorry,
analyze things like this, but I was trying to analyze, like what the hot spec script people would be. And at the time, it was very different back then. I thought it would be something like the next great blockbuster, and it would be budget, like, so it would be Wizard of Oz or something that would come out. And I felt like if you could do, this is like my checklist back then. By the way, I think this is drastically different now. I don't think this is a good idea for a spec anymore. This is what I said last time. So I thought world building was important. You know, I was trying to come up with the next Star Wars, basically.
Right.
I thought taking advantage of the cutting edge tech of the time was very important to it as well.
This does.
I think mixing tropes of adventure, sci-fi or fantasy, and humor at some point were all our key points. You know, and
you realize everything you just said, one of our heroes did that with this IP and failed.
Yes.
Sam Raimi made a failure of
I mean, they're just completely
but everything Jamie just said, you could argue was he was attempting to do.
There's a million failures that try to do it too.
I know, but just in this IP,
John Carter of Mars or something like that. You know, I think.
Yeah. But I like that movie. I think it's a good.
Me
movie.
Too.
I actually like the Sam Raimi Oz movie. It's not good.
You know, Sam Raimi Oz movie is one I've never finished. Like I've started it and I was like, oh, I just couldn't get it.
A lot of people accuse it of being Army of Darkness. It's the same plot structure and everything.
No, that makes me more interested. But yeah, so, and it does all those things. And honestly, when I thought about this in the 90s, I wasn't thinking about this movie. I was thinking about The Matrix.
Right.
Or I was thinking about Star Wars. I was thinking about stuff like that, Terminator 2 or something like that. But this movie totally fits all those things, including the technology part. You know, it definitely, and I think that's why in some ways it's timeless or something, is because the Technicolor and the sets and all that, the old Hollywood kind of filmmaking style.
It also has
like,
that
reproduced.
The reason it's timeless too is it has that, like, I don't even have the word for it if one of you two do, but like it has that stage reality about it, as in like now we need everything to look photorealistic or else people are literally just mad. You know, they're not even satisfied with anything. But like it's fine that the Tin Man just is a guy with a normal head.
Yep.
And like that's not he's wearing it like a silver diaper, and that's like
it's fine that they're matte paintings.
Yeah, like I don't know if when they made the movie they thought they were the point isn't that they're fooling us, it's that it's beautiful.
Yes.
And I think we've gone away from that.
Oh my gosh,
so
minimum effort, even on the big stuff.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like you couldn't make a movie where like you're supposed to tell it's a guy in a suit.
Yeah,
people wouldn't watch a Godzilla movie where it's a guy in a suit now without basically ridiculing it.
I basically, I've said this before. Now I will say Godzilla -1 is probably
awesome.
But I haven't really liked the Godzilla movie that wasn't in a suit. I equate Godzilla to be a guy in a suit.
Guy in a suit.
And the beauty and artistry of the miniatures. Like if you ever look at my Instagram or
Yes.
something, it's just me sharing miniature special
I
effects.
love
Right, right.
miniatures.
I love
Yeah.
I love that stuff. It's
Oh my
it's
god, the
just so cool.
Stay Puft miniature with Stay Puft in New York City. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so
It's
good.
like it's just that whole aspect, and like trying to like talk about that with younger people. I'm not trying to be the old man yelling at a cloud, but it's like it's like, do you understand? You have to just like view it differently than just looking at it has to look real. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. And by the way, a lot of the special effects now don't look real. I mean, they
No.
don't look
No,
real.
they look about as fake as everything else.
They look like something else, but they don't look real. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe
We've talked about this before. My nephew, who's 18, when we talk about this subject, I showed him Monster Squad, and I showed like he grew up with CGI first,
Right.
so he sees practical effects and he instantly checks out, and he never checks out at CGI.
Yeah.
Like
to give you an idea,
because that's what that's how he experienced cinema first. Yeah.
I deactivated my Threads account, but when I was using Threads, there was an argument going on because the Neutron movie was announced that they should go back and redo the Jeff Bridges CGI from Tron Legacy.
The de-aging.
And I wrote some posts, because I didn't post that much, but I wrote some posts where I said, if the director doesn't want to do this, then I don't want to do this. Let it look bad. That's the point of a film. It lives in the moment it's made.
Exactly.
Like, and then you wouldn't believe the amount of youths that literally hated me for saying that. And I was just like, all right. I was like, if the director wants to do it, I don't, whatever. But I was like, but they don't see it like that. They don't see like a movie as a piece of, it's trapped in time. It's frozen in moment in time.
Yeah.
No, I guess George Lucas was ahead of his time.
Or he ruined everything.
Going.
Or he ruined everything, literally.
I think we could change the thing. No, I don't.
Jesus,
I just wanted. That's the only reason I brought up George Lucas, because I wanted to do my impression.
Sounds like you're just doing a little boy or something.
I think we should change Jabba the Hutt. Star Wars.
Man.
I don't know.
I think you need to make him dorky or something with the voice. I think that's every point we had for the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Did you guys have anything you wanted to plug?
I don't have plugs, but I'll do a couple other things. I'll take the baton on. First, I'll say, I haven't been calling out for questions. We're getting enough that we're getting close to. I haven't even shared this with Bob and Jamie yet.
I was thinking we should do one of those shows sometime soon.
Yeah, we're building up enough that we're getting close to being able to do a Q&A episode where we just answer listener questions.
Please send us some stuff of just like favorite movies.
Just random stuff.
Random movie stuff would be great. Random stuff's fine too, but I was just like, hey, what's everybody's favorite Nick Cage movie or something like that? Like.
Yeah, so if you've got questions that you want to hear on a Q&A episode, send us an email at writersblockbusterspodcast@gmail.com. And then the other thing I'll say is, it's been a while since we did a direct call out about reviews. So right now, if you look us up, the algorithms are as bad as are worse than they've ever been.
Oh my God.
And like, if I share the show on like Facebook, I've got 3,000 quote unquote friends and 10 people see it. So it's tough out there. And so one thing that definitely helps us is the reviews when people leave a review. And I've also said someone, by the way, like I didn't see it on there, but you can just tell by the numbers, that someone changed their review to like a 1-star review. It still helps.
They did?
They did. So we must have said something that pissed them off. But because our numbers didn't change number of reviews, but like one review went to 1 star, and then it dipped us down. But whatever.
It was my review. I was just trying to sabotage the show.
He was tired of Jimmy's book reports. But if you leave us a review, whether it's on I think Spotify allows a star review now, or a review on Apple Podcasts, it actually bumps us up in the discoverability. Right now, if you type in screenwriting on Apple Podcasts, we're like, we come up like number 20 in the search. There's that many other screenwriting shows that I hope you'll check out. But yeah, so every time we
check
get
them out.
typically what happens, like there's been times where we'll get like 3 in a week, like just randomly.
Yeah.
And then when we get like 3 reviews in a week, all of a sudden we're showing up in like the top 5 for that week. And then those people, that helps us find new people who are just like have no idea we exist. And yeah, so if you like the show, that's a big way to help, or just sharing the show.
The show. I was going to say also, you can comment on Spotify. You can subscribe and comment on YouTube. All that stuff.
Yeah,
all that stuff just bumps the algorithm up for people. Like, it's, since the internet's different now, it's all about discoverability in on the own platform. So it's really interaction with people on those platforms. It's not us sharing it. It's
sharing it does nothing now because our echo chamber already listens.
I share it on two places just to remind like 3 friends, hey, check your Apple Podcasts. A new episode is up.
But listeners sharing, they have people in their circles who don't know this exists.
Who don't know it, so yeah.
So I'll just say that. Yep.
Jamie, you got anything, or you've plugged all you needed to?
If you feel like it, go buy one of my novels.
That's awesome.
Just go buy one. Just go. If you like the show, I've been doing it this long. You owe me one purchase of a novel. If you've gotten to this, buy one novel. That's all I ask. One novel. Don't buy my.
Don't even read it.
Book.
Just buy it.
Put it in one of those little libraries in your neighborhood. Just
that would be awesome.
Just go buy my novel and put it, or just buy the Kindle one because it's cheaper, and let it sit in your hard drive. Go buy one of my novels. Don't even worry about the Save the Cat books. Plenty of people buy those. Buy one of my novels. Nobody buys one. I'll literally see it. I'll be like, yeah, somebody bought a novel.
What are the titles of the novels?
So I have a couple kids ones. The kid ones are the 44 Rules of Amateur Sleuthing. That's probably my most read book. And Monster Stompers, which is kind of a Godzilla meets Ghostbusters kids book. And then I have Nomad, which is kind of, that's an alien sci-fi for adults, and Haunted Girl, which is kind of an exorcism kind of story for adults. So they're the ones you could start with. Just go buy one.
Jamie always buries the coolness of Haunted Girl in that it used to be a Blumhouse project in development.
Yeah, that was go buy one, and then post a 5-star review and best book I ever read. I love your George Lucas impersonation.
I have one more.
You should, if you buy them, you should read them. But it is funny that Jamie's like, buy them and leave a review, but you didn't tell him to read.
I don't care.
Like, you've done it all.
If you buy one, you'll literally make my day. I don't have to know you read it or not. I'll be like, this is awesome. Somebody bought my book, and then I'll just pretend you read it and loved it. Yeah.
Nice. Jamie, I keep interrupting you because I want to ask you, do you know what the final box office for Mission Santa is?
I haven't checked, and it really requires like doing a lot of advanced math. It's somewhere in the reported one is somewhere around 2 million, but it's been that way since like January 1st, but still been out. And I constantly,
it hasn't updated in the system.
Yeah, like it's never like the Indian numbers. In India, it was a big deal because it was Indian animators that actually made the film, and they did a heavy promotion in India more than anywhere else. So, and I don't think any of their numbers got updated, and I think it showed there in many, many, many theaters to many, many, many people. So
that's awesome.
Who knows how much it made,
Do you have any idea when it'll be streaming? It'll be for rent?
No, I have no idea. It'll probably next Christmas is my gut. It did not come out in the US yet on streaming of any type. Gotcha. So I still believe in the US, like next Christmas will be the time when
probably easier to recommend a Christmas movie on Christmas too.
Yeah.
Now in like February. Watch this kid's Christmas movie.
I would guess as we're reviewing Bad Santa next December, I'll probably plug the fact that it's out, on like Hulu or something, and you can watch it.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, I think that's everything, guys.
Yeah.
Yep, go
Thanks
buy
for
my
listening,
book.
everyone.
Buy a book.
Bye. Buy Jamie's book.
Buy book.
Hey, this is Bob Rose, and thank you for listening to Writers Blockbusters. If you'd like to financially support the show, please consider joining my Patreon. I've been producing the podcast for several years completely out of pocket, and I'd like to keep producing it ad-free and no longer at a loss. If you'd like to help, head on over to patreon.com/Bob Rose Sucks. That's right, Bob Rose Sucks. And if you want the one and only Jimmy George to help polish up that writing project you're kind of struggling with, head on over to scriptbutcher.com. As a listener, you already know he's the best there is, scriptbutcher.com. You can also support the show by simply sharing it or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate both. Thank you for listening, and see you next episode.